Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a special episode. I got 3 dinosaurs I'm gonna actually have to talk about here, but even though I'm gonna try to pass through them pretty quickly here, so let's actually get right to it, shall we? I'm gonna go alphabetical order on this. Alright, first one is Concavenator. Now, Concavenator in Greek or Latin is Quensa hunter, whatever it's called. Fossils found in Europe. Early Cretaceous, 130 million years ago. About 20 feet long and probably weighed between 2 to 3 tons. And of course it's a carnivore. And basically with Concavenator, it's actually a basal carcharodontosaurid. So basically it's smaller than the other carcharodontosaurids, and basically it's just that it's kind of like a primitive form of a carcharodontosaurid. And so with Concavenator, the main feature of Concavenator is basically that funny looking little hump on its right in between the hips, and basically it has tall spines right there, and so basically so that would actually make a place where basically there probably might be for display. And I wouldn't be surprised that Concavenator could actually be feathered, probably had like more like quill-like feathers, and probably were very colored, and probably males were brightly colored for those. And so, but since there's not that many specimens of Concavenator that are found, and so we won't even know if this specimen that has been studied so far is actually a male or a female. If it's female, then I wouldn't be surprised that maybe the females actually had a smaller hump, whereas the males had a larger hump, and basically that could actually make it more of like a sexual dimorphism type of way, where basically you can tell the difference between a male and a female. But of course, like other carcharodontosaurids, basically it has blade-like teeth, 3-fingered hands, powerful legs, and a pretty sturdy tail. And so basically, this animal will actually be a lot faster than the bigger carcharodontosaurids like Giganotosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus, and Mapusaurus. So basically, it would actually be pretty much hunting down like medium-sized prey, and so that would actually be the best option for this predator, because it wouldn't actually go after like animals that are probably like probably say 70 feet to maybe 100 feet long, because basically that's way too big of a food source for them to actually tackle, and also it'll be hard for them to actually tackle something that huge. And so pretty much probably animals that are actually about the same size as or a tad bit larger, and so that would actually be the prey sources for them. I mean, they can hunt smaller sauropods, they can actually probably take down iguanodontids, you know, all those sorts of types of prey. And of course, Concavenator was basically found in Europe, and so basically kind of actually makes a point of basically where carcharodontosaurids probably began, you know, because you have basal carcharodontosaurids have been found basically in Europe, Asia, and Africa, and South America, and even North America, because basically North America's got 2 basal carcharodontosaurids. Got Acrocanthosaurus and Siach. And so with Concavenator, makes the point of basically concerning it's a very smaller it's a smaller theropod, so it's a medium-sized theropod, so basically it's actually going to probably be pretty much living in a smaller island. So considering that Europe at that time was actually a bunch of scattered islands, and so that actually makes a lot of sense to suggest that that's the reason why it's that small. And of course, extinction of Concavenator couldn't adapt to the changes, basically considering that the sea levels are rising, and also basically that it couldn't actually it probably couldn't find any more food, considering that the prey sources are the larger prey sources were in larger islands, and basically if its island was actually getting smaller and smaller, and then basically that couldn't adapt to that kind of change, and so on and so forth. And so basically Concavenator couldn't survive very long after that, and so that would actually be a reason why I think Concavenator probably didn't survive for very long. And now the next animal that we're going to be talking about is Saurornitholestes Saurornitholestes. And so Saurornitholestes, name in Greek or Latin is lizard bird. If I can find the name here. Alright, its name means lizard bird thief. And its fossils are found in North America, late Cretaceous 75 million years ago. About 5 feet long, probably would have weighed around 30 pounds or even 40 pounds. And it's a carnivore, of course. And so basically, this animal is actually kind of related more to like Velociraptor. So basically, this animal is kind of almost got the same face, same body build as Velociraptor, but Velociraptor is a tad bit larger, and basically it's got the same features as a dromaeosaur. Basically, very sharp teeth in its mouth, long hand claws, and also it's got the killing claw on the second digit of its foot. And so it actually has those features of a dromaeosaur, and it probably was covered in feathers, so basically it probably would make sense that it probably was covered in feathers. Possibly could hunt in packs, but even though when I look at this animal, it's actually probably a little bit more going to be hunting smaller prey, probably going after mammals, reptiles, and even some small birds. And so that probably, and even probably baby pterosaurs. But even though it could probably hunt down some small dinosaurs, basically probably going after like infant dinosaurs, basically like hatchlings, and so on and so forth. And so I think probably that's what it would be going after. Now, since there's not that much of this animal has been found, I know there's probably a few specimens out there, but I can't say where they have been found in North America. I haven't looked totally closely at that. But even though with how this animal is actually built, considering it's built for speed, and considering the competition for that, the main competition for basically the two main competitions for this dinosaur is basically Dromaeosaurus and Troodon. And so basically those animals would actually be the main competition for this dinosaur. So Saurornitholestes probably didn't actually last very long because it probably got out-competed by those two. And so that's probably the reason why it probably didn't live very long. And also that's the reason why it was probably only around for 75 million years. And also climate change was actually kind of a big deal as well. And so you're probably actually looking at an animal that probably, even though it was very intelligent, but basically not as intelligent as Troodon, but also probably not as robust as Dromaeosaurus. And Dromaeosaurus was basically a little bit more robust type of dromaeosaur, and so basically that's how it actually kind of came into be. It was basically that, and basically that it's actually going to be having a hard time competing against Dromaeosaurus, which is basically a bit more robust raptor than Saurornitholestes, and also Troodon. It actually has better ways to actually adapt to changes in environments. Basically, it could actually eat plants, it could actually eat meat. So basically, it's an omnivore, and basically, it could actually take anything if it could. And basically, with Saurornitholestes, is that the extinction of this animal is pretty much just going to be being outcompeted by Dromaeosaurus and Troodon, and also there was probably not enough prey sources for it to actually survive very long, considering that probably Troodon was probably better adapted for taking down the smaller prey, and also it actually has the ability to eat plants. And then basically with Dromaeosaurus, it's a little bit of a tougher raptor, and also it could actually pretty much kill prey a lot easier than probably what Saurornitholestes could. And so that kind of plays into being basically that changes in environment actually happened too. So the climate was changing rapidly at that time. Alright, the final dinosaur we're going to be talking about is Skorpiovenator. Skorpiovenator in Greek or Latin means scorpion hunter. Fossils have been found in South America, basically Argentina. Middle Cretaceous, 95 million years ago, about 30 feet long, probably would have weighed around 1 ton. And of course, it's a carnivore, and basically Skorpiovenator, if many of you paleo buffs know, it's an abylisaurid. And so basically it has the same features of an abylisaurid. Very short, robust skull, very small, stubby arms, and basically it's got strong legs, and also it's got a pretty good tail for balance. And so, the kind of interesting thing about Skorpiovenator, where it was found, it was actually found in Alcomahuevo, which is kind of interesting. Alcomahuevo is a fossil site in Argentina where basically there's like upon hundreds of sauropod eggs laying around where they were nested. And so eggshells are scattered everywhere in this type of place. But the funny thing is that Skorpiovenator was found right in that vicinity, and it was pretty much found kind of actually running between some nests. And so probably what this Skorpiovenator was doing was basically it probably was waiting for the sauropodlets to actually come out of the eggs, and basically then it's basically like a feast for Skorpiovenator. But at that time there were other predators around that were waiting for these hatchlings to hatch, and pretty much they would actually be grabbing like as many baby titanosaurs as they could. But even though that's the thing with the sauropods, is that if there's so much food for predators, if there's so much food that the predators can't eat them all, then basically you probably actually have a better chance of survival in the future. And so pretty much with Skorpiovenator probably was actually capable, not only was it be able to take down baby titanosaurs, probably could actually tackle down like iguanodontid like animals, and probably could actually go after probably larger titanosaurs than just a hatchling phase. It probably could actually take down a juvenile sauropod, probably basically the size of maybe like a hippo, or otherwise maybe an elephant. And so pretty much that would probably be the main food sources for Skorpiovenator. But also there was competition for Skorpiovenator, basically, and competition is that you actually have other abylisaurids that were actually around during this time. You probably actually have Carnotaurus was just about to appear around this time. And so Carnotaurus would actually be kind of more like the descendant of Skorpiovenator. But even though when Skorpiovenator pretty much went extinct, that basically Carnotaurus was the next dinosaur to take its place. But even though Carnotaurus is a bit more robust, and also probably actually has better hunting capabilities than Skorpiovenator. And then so basically with Skorpiovenator, probably couldn't actually adapt to the new changes, and basically its prey sources were going away, and also that competition would actually be a little bit more advanced. So pretty much that the abylisaurids at the time were kind of getting a little bit more advanced, but even though they were starting to actually show their they were still pretty primitive. They were still pretty primitive theropods in a way, but even though they were actually very successful in the southern hemisphere of the planet around the Cretaceous, the late Cretaceous, and so that's pretty much how that kind of actually went. And so pretty much that you have the abylisaurs take over in the late Cretaceous, whereas the Carcharodontosaurids kind of took over in the early Cretaceous. And so that's how it actually kind of went. And basically Skorpiovenator is actually just one of those abylisaurids that pretty much started out as a abylisaurid that probably was actually capable of taking down prey, and basically about its size or a little bit larger, and basically it just couldn't actually keep up with basically the changes in the environment. And that's basically how the extinction has actually kind of come to be for Skorpiovenator. But also it's just that with its time in Argentina, is basically Argentina was pretty much the kind of actually that kind of like the Serengeti of the time in terms of dinosaur times, in terms of a continent, because basically it's just that you have so many dinosaurs in this one country, but also in a certain continent where basically South America was so isolated at that time that basically that changes that actually occur like almost all the time in terms of dinosaurs, and so that pretty much actually kind of happens. So that's why Australia, since it's isolated, that basically that there's weird changes in certain animals. You know, that's why marsupials are pretty much dominant in Argentina and all that sorts of stuff. Because basically, once you put animals in an isolated area, then basically changes are basically evolution is actually going to make some weird concoctions of certain animals. And so theropods are pretty much that group in South America. Not so much as sauropods, but even though that titanosaurs didn't change too much, but even though they actually developed like a armored scutes on its back, kind of like Saltosaurus has. Anyway, that's it for now. Now next week will actually be an answering questions episode. So if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or always go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. Remember, keep your questions short and to the point, and don't use the messenger. I can't read all the questions on the messenger. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRILL. That's my Twitter page, and I post pretty cool stuff on there. Take care of the people around you, and also for your younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you could have for good education. It's very important to have a good education, because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next Saturday.